Hello and welcome. It's 8 p.m. in Banjul and from our MDI Road studios, this is the news at 8. Our top stories this hour. President Adama Barrow joins ECOWAS leaders' virtual summit to discuss the situation in Guinea following a military coup that toppled President Alpha Condé last Sunday. The director of the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance hailed the government of the Gambia for the gains made in its security sector reform programs during a courtesy call on the Vice President at State House in Banjul. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and West Africa Examination Council warn against examination malpractice as they continue its monitoring exercise at various schools currently sitting the grade 12 examinations in the country. Now away from home, Guinea's main opposition leader, Cellou Dalein Diallo, offered to participate in the country's political transition as school leaders freed 80 political prisoners and pledged to set up a transition government. Well, that's the top of the news this hour and much more coming ahead in the next 1 hour. I am Marian Jai Ajayi. Now, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, on Wednesday took part in an ECOWAS extraordinary summit to discuss the situation in Guinea following a military coup that toppled President Alpha Condé. The sub-regional bloc has already condemned the coup by the head of the Army Special Forces, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, and this summit seeks to find a way out of the crisis. Mamadou Jallo now reports.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, joined colleagues from the 15 ECOWAS bloc for an extraordinary summit on Guinea. It comes after soldiers from the elite Army Special Forces stormed the presidential palace in Conakry, arresting longtime leader Alpha Condé and announcing a takeover of power. ECOWAS was among the first international organizations to condemn the military coup and call for a return to democracy. The meeting was chaired by ECOWAS Chairman, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana, and seeks to come up with a coordinated response to what ECOWAS sees as an infringement on one of the basic principles of the organization, which outlaws military coups and other unconstitutional seizures of power.
I believe that the manner in which, in times of crisis, the leadership of ECOWAS responds is the surest testimony of the strength and commitment that all of us have to the goals of our regional organization.
The summit is now expected to come up with a communique outlining ECOWAS's position and possible measures to be undertaken by the sub-regional body, which could see Guinea suspended from the organization. Mamadou Jallo, GRTS News.
Now, still on the executive, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, has received in audience the director of the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance at her office at State House in Banjul. Mr. Thomas Goeba was at the Vice President's office to congratulate the government for the gains made in the security sector reforms. Well, here's more with Babucha.
The Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance, DCAF, is active in the Gambia for over 3 years now, supporting government in the area of reform efforts relating to the security sector. Speaking to the press after an audience with the Vice President, the Director of the Geneva Center, Thomas Goeba, commended the government on the successes registered in the security sector reform.
First, thank the Vice President and through her the President and all the ministers for the terrific partnership we've been able to build up, to congratulate the government on the progress made in the security sector reform area in the last 3 years or so. But we've also come to inaugurate our new office, DCAF's office in Banjul, which will be important in further strengthening our program here.
Mr. Garba renewed their commitment to support the government in its efforts in strengthening the security sector of the country.
The Gambian Immigration Department plays a key role in this sector, given the significance of the migration issue in the country. It's not up to me, I would say, to assess the importance of our contribution overall. What others tell us frequently is that DCAF is recognized as an organization which represents international good practice. So we can help the government to look at other examples, other experiences elsewhere from which they can, or this country can learn in order to find its best way, because it has to be the Gambian way.
As security plays a crucial role in enhancing democracy, Mr. Gerber noted that effective communication is critical in explaining to the public the benefits of sound security institutions based on good governance. For the news, I am Babu Cham reporting.
Meanwhile, a media release from the Election House says the Independent Electoral Commission, in exercise of its mandate under Section 46 of the Constitution of the Gambia and Section 40 of the Elections Act, wishes to inform the general public that election to the office of the President of the Republic of the Gambia will be conducted on Saturday, 4th December 2021. The public is hereby informed that the IEC, acting under Section 47 of the Constitution and 42(1) of the Elections Act, will receive nominations of candidates for the said election of President of the Republic of the Gambia from the 30th October 2021 to 5th of November 2021 between the hours of 8 o'clock in the forenoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the IEC headquarters, Bertil Hardin Highway. In exercise of its powers given in Section 85 of the Elections Act, the IEC wishes to announce that the campaign period for the said elections will be held from Tuesday, 9th November 2021 to Thursday, 2nd December 2021. The public is also notified under Section 5(2) of the Elections Act that the appointed returning officer for the elections of the office of the President of the Republic of the Gambia is Aliu Momar Njai, chairman of the IEC. Nomination papers can be collected from the IEC headquarters from the 30th September 2021. The release ends. And now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia has recently convened its quarterly review of economic and financial developments and subsequently took appropriate monetary policy decisions judged to be suitable in the current macroeconomic environment. Here's more on the key economic indicators.
On the home front, the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, GBOS, estimated the Gambian economy to have contracted by 0.2% in 2020, lower than the 6.2% growth registered in 2019. The slight contraction in real GDP growth in was due to the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which were mitigated by government's policy measures. The pandemic continues to impact global economic activities, leading to uncertain economic outlooks. The Central Bank's quarterly business sentiment survey revealed optimal economic recovery on account of COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Respondents reported expected improvement in economic activity during July and August 2021 relative to May and June 2021. However, the following quarter prospects were clouded with the effects of mutating variants, effective containment measures, and political uncertainty about the forthcoming elections. Perceptions on prices for the next 3 months indicated an increase in inflation due to the current trend of rising food and fuel prices. The dollar is expected to be stable, underpinned by expected increase in diaspora remittances and global a gradual rebound in tourism. External sector developments. The preliminary balance of payments estimates for the second quarter of 2021 indicated improvement in the current account balance. The deficit in the current account balance of the balance of payments narrowed to $5.56 million. This is 0.3% of GDP in the second quarter of 2021 from a deficit of $41.13 million, equivalent to 2.33% of GDP in the corresponding period of 2020, induced by strong remittances and donor inflows.
That was Boa Seidi, the governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, on the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia on its quarterly review of the country's economy. Now moving on, the officials from Basic and Secondary Education and West Africa Examination Council are on a monitoring exercise at various schools. Here is an excerpt.
The wide country profile report on examination malpractice, which was submitted to the ministry, and as a result of that, the permanent secretary advised that we conduct a research, which we did. And interestingly, the research findings show clearly that a lot of examination malpractices were seen in the of the grade 9 exams and the grade 12 exams, which is quite very much alarming. And as a result of that, ministry is putting in place a lot of mechanisms to make sure that we do something about examination malpractice, because examination malpractice, the consequences of it are so great, are huge, and therefore that is why the ministry is embarking upon this monitoring exercise as well. I think this year we are very much optimistic that exams malpractice, if even whereas it is really going to happen, not yet. We've not seen any report yet, or we've not had any instances of it yet, because like I said, the ministry, after the research findings, did put in place a lot of mechanisms, one of which is the sensitization, which the ministry itself did, which I am part of, and equally WAEC also did their own briefings, which at some point we equally joined WAEC in their briefings to equally talk to external supervisors, internal supervisors, invigilators, students, and because we did at our sensitization level, we did talk to head teachers, head boy, head girl, and SMC chairs of schools, so that they know about the dangers of the examination malpractice. Just like I said, of 2020 alone, almost close to $26 million was paid by government as examination fees for grade 9 exams alone, and almost close to $32 million was paid for grade 12 exams. So you could see the implication of how much money is being spent by government to conduct both grade 9 and grade 12 exams. It's already expensive. The stakeholders involved, from the Honorable Minister of the Ministry, the Permanent Secretary, they are all on their toes and making sure that this sensitization, a lot of monitoring happens in the schools. Head teachers know about this, school teachers know about this, who are serving as invigilators and who are equally serving as internal supervisors, that this time around, this year, the ministry will surely take its stance, and the stance is punishment. Any school or any individual found one thing in this ugly practice will surely be dealt with by the ministry.
For WAEC Banjul office, this is a routine exercise. What we do is, when we have examinations being conducted, we usually go on inspection, and the role of the inspection is to get our officials, the officials who are in charge of the examinations, to be on the alert, to be on their toes, to make sure that there is no examination malpractice going on. The exercise of inspection is common to all the offices. Every office, goes on those inspections. And you've mentioned the regional character of WAEC. Because of that, really the onus is on us to make sure that it is not in our country that the examination is compromised. We are doing it with so many other countries, 5 of them, with a total candidature of beyond 1.5 million. So I think we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to all those countries to make sure that the examination is conducted hitch-free, here. Some of the measures are really the briefings that we have had. We have briefed the schools, we have briefed the supervisors, we have given them the rules and regulations that govern the conduct of the exam. Really, one of the objectives of this inspection is also to prevent it, because what we want to do is to keep the officials on their toes to make sure that they do what they are supposed to do to ensure hitch-free examinations. So really, that apart, we keep on innovating. We last year introduced the use of monitors. So the role of the monitors is to help the supervisors, because we consider that the supervisors are sometimes too busy actually conducting the exams, taking attendance, distributing question papers. So the monitors are there to help observe, to be able to see if anything improper is taking place.
And that was Lamin Job, statistician of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and Pa Samba Balde, head of WAEC office in Banjul, there speaking to GRTS. Now moving on, the National Livestock Owners Association, in partnership with Department of Livestock Services and Gambia Livestock Marketing Agency, on Wednesday began a 3-day capacity building for butchers on meat hygiene, cutting, handling and entrepreneurship in Abuko. The training is being funded by the Swiss Corporation through the Association of Livestock's Value Chain Actors in Africa, COFEN-NAVI. Well, Usman Mane has more on that report.
This capacity building training, funded by Swiss Corporation through the Association of Livestock Value Chain Actors in Africa, COFEN-NAVI, will expose 30 butchers drawn from the West Coast region, Kanifi Municipality and Banjul on meat hygiene, cutting, handling and entrepreneurship. Chairman of KMC Dealers Association, Musa Njai, commended NALWA for their commitment to improve the working conditions of members in the value chain. In his keynote address, representative of the Director General Department of Livestock Services, Yaya Balde, said a nation cannot develop without a healthy population, and butchers are key drivers in improving the nation's well-being.
te yen buuse yi ngeen xam ne seen rôle seen taxawaay si development of the livestock sector and the development of this country dafa am solo trop.
Saja Kora from the Gambia Livestock Marketing Agency is a trainer, and he explained some of the issues to be discussed, which will increase income for butchers as well as reduce the burden on the health system.
If you slaughter these very, very old cattle, we call Raja, no hotel proprietor would buy that type of meat. They want to buy meat that is tender, soft, and is of good quality. And then, most of our livestock here, the premium price is for those young, very healthy, and then normally these butchers would not go in for that. And these are all going to be part of our training to see to it that the meat that you bring to the market is quality meat. If it is quality meat, of course, the hotel industry would definitely buy your meat, together with other factors like I said, the personal hygiene factors, the way you handle your meat, your storage, and then the cuttings together. These are very, very important factors.
The way things are going is only change of attitude and training can change the sector, because the livestock value chain is a very wide sector. But this aspect are the butchers, they are the end product of livestock, and we believe training them is also going to help the Gambian people, especially the food that we are eating from them.
Also speaking to GRTS, the president of NALWA, Ibrahima O. Jallo, who was recently elected for another term in office, called for unity of purpose within the farmer associations.
The National Livestock Owners Association is the value chain across the livestock fraternity. Among you have the sheep producers, we have the butchers themselves, we have the dealers, you have the poultry, and everybody should be in this sector. And then at the end of the day, at least the sector will be stronger, because when you go outside of the Gambia, you can see what farmers are doing. Those farmers are supported. They are united. They are able to agree to disagree, and they know their objective. They know what they want. But if you have small sector, we cannot go. And this is why if you go to other countries in Africa, when you look at the way they manage their livestock, the way they rear them, the way they sell them, their marketing, the way they butcher them, it's wonderful.
The training is expected to last for 3 days, which aims to change the status quo in adherence of standard in meat processing and handling. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Usman Mane there. Now, German International Service, GIS, in partnership with Techifi Project, on Tuesday distributed 279 tailoring machines to 93 youths in the Greater Banjul area, Lower River and Upper River regions, with funding from the European Union Trust Fund. As Yasin Jiba reports, the project seeks to support youths in the entrepreneurship and skills acquisition for self-reliance. Here's more.
The project is finally coming to an end, with a lot of opportunities for Gambian youths meant to improve the skills and livelihoods of the beneficiaries. The training includes entrepreneurship, agro-processing, and apprenticeship. Susan Jata, Business Development Junior Advisor at GIS, said the role of the project is to help young people realize their full potentials in entrepreneurship development.
Our beneficiaries are usually provided with 6 months business coaching, in which they are assigned a coach who will make follow-up on the business that they are doing. And out of these 1,400 we have trained, 25% of them were supported with startup kits that we believe we are going to help them practicalize already what they have been trained on. And also for those who are under the apprenticeship training, they were trained on either beekeeping, horticulture, bakery, and agro-processing.
Madam Jata emphasized the need for the beneficiaries to take good care of the machines as they are monitored in the implementation stages. Mariatu Sar of Latrikunda Sabiji expressed gratitude to the organizers for such a wonderful initiative that will improve their business standard.
I started this business as an inspiration, not just to be able to be financially independent, but also to create employment opportunities, not just for myself, but for other young people. So currently I have one person that is working with me. I employed one person, and I'm hoping to expand. Considering that the fact that this project is giving me more machines, I'll also be able to involve other young people.
For Saibo Kanute, the program serves as an opportunity for them to encourage their fellow youths to venture in skill acquisition so as to generate employment for themselves.
Those having the concept of going to Bagwe should come back at least and start thinking of how to build our nation. Because I think a good citizen, the first thing you should think of is to build your nation. So if you go to Bagwe, you're building the nation of others. So why not we stay here and make it for ourselves?
The beneficiaries are optimistic that with such a program, the issue of young people going to Europe through the Bagwe will be a thing of the past. According to officials, the project has trained thousands of youths over the years in different fields through TVET and the mini-grant scheme for business enhancement, all geared towards creating employment for young people in the Gambia with a slogan, "Make it in the Gambia." For the news, this is Yasin Jiba.
Well, with that report there by Yasin Jiba, we take our first break, and when we come back, sports news is up next. Do stay.
In a country always thirsty for more, a team of superheroes with special powers unite to redefine the way we are connected. Big Barbara Vegas steps up your communication with the TOK service, giving you 1,000 minutes of talk time to one special person for $150 is only. Valid for 1 month. Enjoy your talk time. Type SUB and send by SMS to 135 to activate the TOK service. AfriCell got office with the power to change the world. AfriCell is setting trends once again. I'm sure you still love WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Viber. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, knows this. That's why you can now enjoy more at the same price. Activate the social media bundle and be online for 24 hours for $10 is only.
Hello! Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and receive 40 megabytes.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back. We're live in Banjul and this is GRTS News. Now, over onto some sports because club championship qualifiers against AS Setif of Algeria, the Petroleum Boys will host the Algerian Giants in round 1 of the preliminaries at the Independence Stadium on Saturday, the 11th of September 2021. The club on Wednesday convenes a press briefing where coach Jane Juve hailed his team's readiness ahead of the clash while also expressing disappointment over the decision of some club members' refusal to allow their players to play for Fortune. Now let's take a listen.
We don't just want to participate for the sake of participating. As you already mentioned, there were a lot of chances that the Gambian clubs used to have before by participating, but couldn't make it to the second round. So now Fortune have registered for the competition as well, and we knew all what is in place in terms of Gambian clubs and proceeding to the other stages as well. So we don't say that we're going there, but we're preparing as well. And our intention and objectives are to try and see how best we can proceed to a stage whereby no Gambian team have reached before. So you can only achieve that when you prepare yourself. So we already knew that, but we're not going to take that as pressure on our team as well. But we will do our level best to see that we cross the first round and also to a stage where no Gambian team have ever qualified. That's why we started training since the end of the league, as I earlier said, and also trying to introduce some players to strengthen our squad and prepare to go to another level. We also have the inclusion of Boubacar Tambedu and then Aliou Barry from Allied United. Those were the players that we invited to join the team because I have watched them play during the course of the league, and definitely their performance was convincing. We warranted me to select them to at least add strength to our team. So we decided to road through those teams to request for their loan transfer as well, open transfers as well. So at the end of the day, we received some on loan transfer, especially Aliou Barry and then Boubacar Tambedu, who are players of Allied United to our knowledge because we have seen them playing for Allied United. So if at all we receive alarming messages or information concerning those two players that Real Banjul said they are their players, then it's really surprising to us. So that was the route that was going on these past days. So and at the end of the day, Real said it's their players, and they wrote to us, and also Allied wrote to us again saying that they want the withdrawal of players for those players from our training. So we have to accept their proposal. So that's the saddest news. If we can invite Aliou Barry and then Boubacar Tambedu from Allied United to be part of Fortune, we are giving them the chance to expose them as well. And at the end of the day, anything that comes out of it is not for Fortune, it's for Allied. You understand? And I think we have passed through the right channel, done the right thing to invite them because we knew them as Allied players, not real Banjul players. So if at all this arises at the latter part, it's surprising and very sad. And I think we are all Gambians. You understand? We need to help each other when we come to situations like this. You understand? But this life in football, sometimes you have to expect the unexpected. But definitely it's a sad thing for me, especially who scouted the players during the course of the league. But that will not, stop us from what we were doing as a team. We'll continue, to see how best we can do it with the players that we invited and also the ones who were there for us when we won the league.
And that was Jane Juve, their coach of Fortune, speaking at the club's press briefing. You can follow the full interview of that on Multisports at 9 p.m. this evening. Now we will take another short break. When we return, we'll take a look at internationals. Do stay. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's head straight to Guinea, where the opposition leader Cellou Dalein Diallo said he is ready to participate in the country's political transition. Diallo, who is deposed President Alpha Conde's longtime rival, said there is a need to organize democratic election. The 69-year-old Diallo was defeated by Conde in the 2020 election that preceded by violence. Conde was ousted in a military coup on Sunday. Coup leaders have pledged to set up a transition government. Meanwhile, 80 political prisoners, some of who are jailed for challenging Alpha Conde's third-term presidential term, were released. The prisoners freed on Tuesday included Ismail Conde, a former member of the deposed president's RPG's party, who rallied against his presidential bid last year. Opponents of the president have been displeased by his decision to run for a third term. They deemed Alpha Conde's candidacy illegitimate after the constitution was amended, allowing him to run again. Details in this CGTN report.
A great relief for the families of those detainees who have been released by the coup leaders. As you heard from some of those detainees, those former detainees, they are very happy. I just want to remind you that some of them spent more than 10 months in prison since the past presidential election. So now I think it's a great relief for all the people of Guinea, because we just want to remind you that some of those detainees were relieved, but in exchange of an appeal to Alpha Conde in that time. So it came a time, if you want to go out and meet your family, you should appeal publicly to the president, to Alpha Conde, before you come out. So those who were in there, those refused to appeal publicly to Alpha Conde. So today is a great relief for those those former detainees and their families. I think this is a big announcement, because everyone was expecting the main political party, which is UFDG of Cellou Dalein Diallo, who has now announced that he's willing to accompany the military leaders in the transitional government. And it is not the only announcement. All of the political parties here in Guinea, everybody has now accepted, as I said, everybody, the situation under Alpha Conde was so unstable, was so uncertain that, this coup is kind of a hope, just a sign of victory for those political leaders, because it puts everything back to zero. Everyone can go back, like when you take the situation in 2010. It was the same situation where all the political parties came together and to form a transitional government. So hearing the main political opposition party saying that they are willing to join to help to be part of this transitional government is something very huge. Apart from Cellou Dalein Diallo, Sidya Touré, also, who is another leader of the opposition party, and most of the leaders of the opposition party are willing to join this government. So I think it's a big relief. It's also a sign of victory, as I said earlier, for Guinea, to see all those political parties coming together to put their hands together and get Guinea out of this situation that we're facing right now. As you know, Guinea is we are expecting sanctions. We are expecting the ECOWAS and the African Union to on some restrictions on Guinea on the institutional part. So for now, what is not known is when and how long this transitional government is going to take until the return to a civil administration to the head of the country.
Well, let's go a little deeper into that story, as the regional body ECOWAS on Wednesday hold a meeting to discuss the political situation in Guinea. Here's CGTN's Phil Ehaza, who reports from Abuja.
Body, leaders of the regional body are expected to hold an extraordinary summit later today, or at most early on Thursday, on Guinea. We don't know the exact, details of the meeting for now, but we know that indeed they'll definitely be talking about the release of freedom of Alpha Conde from the putschist, especially because he has refused to resign and is still with them. Although they say that he's in good state of health and all of that, but he's 83 years old, and of course that's a concern that will be on the table for the regional leaders. Also, we expect to see some sanctions, maybe economic sanctions that would restrict them from trade relations among neighboring countries. But of course, we know those sanctions will not be imposed immediately because they'll first be put out until the soldiers or the people in power heed to their terms. We also know that they are concerned about the developments in Mali, and that's the reason that they are holding this summit to discuss the terms, in Guinea, so that we don't see repeated, situation in Guinea where they may not pay attention to the details or the timeline of activities. What we know currently is that the soldiers or the people who are behind the coup are already drumming support from a larger part of Guinea, releasing the prisoners like we saw in the video. We see celebrations of the citizens, even the opposition parties putting up support. And then I've been speaking to some experts, and they say that maybe the ECOWAS body will need to be more proactive, to be involved in some of these issues, especially with leaders in their bloc having controversies while in office, so that it doesn't put them vulnerable to coup attempts and all of that. So we're just monitoring, the meeting that we expect the leaders to hold later on, and of course we'll get more updates related to the Guinea developments.
Well, that's all we have for you in this newscast. But before we go, a look at our top stories. President Adama Barrow joins ECOWAS leaders' virtual summit to discuss the situation in Guinea following a military coup that toppled President Alpha Conde last Sunday. The director of the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance hailed the government of the Gambia for the gains made in its security sector reform programs during a courtesy call on the Vice President at State House. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and West Africa Examination Council warned against examination malpractice as they continue its monitoring exercise at various schools currently sitting the grade 12 examinations in the country. And away from home, Guinea's main opposition leader, Cellou Dalein Diallo, offered to participate in the country's political transition as coup leaders freed 80 political prisoners and pledged to set up a transition government. That's all we have for you on this edition of the News at 8, but do join us again at 2200 hours for more news.